Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. Tonight we have the pleasure to be discussing a theme that will affect most of the Cambodian in this country. It's about the rice sector. But from the rice perspective, I want to cover more the view from the private sector, the role, the contribution of the private sector. And we have the pleasure to have with us tonight Mr. David Van, who is the advisor of the FASMEC. FASMEC is the Federation of SME Association in Cambodia. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
Yeah. David, before we start the dialogue, perhaps you could introduce yourself a bit about your background a bit. I know you're Cambodian for sure. Yeah.
Well, I spent about quite a number of years over my last 30 years of career in working in several countries, Europe, Southeast Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong, the whole Indochina, Burma, and basically I felt like that I could kind of contribute more coming back to my hometown.
Okay.
And so I made the plunge back in 88. Actually, I came back first in
88.
88. I came back first in Cambodia in 1988, and believe me,
before the peace accord even.
Yes, before everybody came back in 91.
Wow.
That was quite a dramatic experience, but I was glad I came in here earlier because now I can see the substantial improvement of living standard between my first time back here in 88 to today, 2011.
Yeah, yeah.
So from the career perspective, I used to work a lot for multinational in the private sector, moving around from country to country. And after the 97 sort of Asian financial crisis, I thought if I had problems finding a job back in the corporate sector because everybody was restructuring, right?
Yes, yes.
So why not use my expertise and knowledge of the greater Mekong sub-region with the donors community.
Okay.
And so I plunged into the development world and then did a quick stint with various UN agencies like ITC in Geneva.
Yeah, that's when we know
UNDP
each other.
in Cambodia, a short stint of consulting work for the World Bank, and basically I did a lot of work with the Ministry of Commerce, also almost about 10 years.
Okay.
With the Ministry of Commerce under the UN secondment.
Yeah, and how about your stint to help the productivity with the government ministry, for example?
We started actually as a USAID funded project called Government Industry Productivity Center.
Okay.
And then back in 2008, we converted it into a local NGO called CASTEC, Cambodia Skill Development Center.
Okay.
And because of the US funding was subsiding by end January 2011, we have to actually find a way out to how to carry the legacy of all these years of USAID money that helped us build up the productivity center for the government industry. So we thought very hard with the USAID people, and finally we decided to merge with a private sector company.
All right.
And now it became a fully commercial enterprise as of May this year.
Specializing in productivity.
Under one sort of umbrella, we are offering both soft skill training as well as a very technical vocational training for productivity, industrial engineering.
Yes.
Not only for garment industry, but also for footwear, light manufacturing, like food processing, and even SMEs.
That's where you end up advising quite a bit the Federation of SME Association, right? FASMEC.
Yes. Now FASMEC is a very young institution, basically registered only in December last year, 2010. But FASMEC is been formed by a group of quite, I would say, dynamic private sector people who want to really contribute something to the society and also to improve the private sector capacity, etc.
To me, I think the role of the private sector is very important in the context of the development of our country. And I would say that the royal government of Cambodia, of course, we all know that last year, Samdech Techo Hun Sen has launch the rice, the paddy production and rice export policy. The goal is to have 1 million ton of rice export by 2015. Recently, the Financial and Economic Committee, chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister Excellency Kit Chon, and with SNEC, they have received the endorsement from the Prime Minister to have a strategic review of the rice policy.
Good.
What does it take to achieve this 1 million ton by 2015? The process is beginning to start now, but for me, the reason I invite you today is that I want to hear what can the private sector, here private sector quite broad. You could be talking about the importer, exporter, which is the traditional one, but you have the freight, the logistic, the port operator, so many of the supporting institutions in the private sector that could contribute to the achievement of this 1 million tons a year. What is as an advisor to FASTMEC, what your view specifically on how the private sector can contribute?
Well, let me start by saying that the target set forth by the government of 1 million ton for 2015 is indeed ambitious, because we are going to face a whole range of very serious challenge ahead in order to achieve that. However, I would say it takes two hands to clap.
Yes.
The private sector has to contribute their share of efforts, and the government needs also to contribute their part in order to facilitate a smooth flow of settlement all these issues that are lying ahead. What I see basically for the rice sector in Cambodia is not an issue of market access.
It's not.
Market access we do have.
Okay.
Right now, actually, we are so advantageous because our LDC status and with the EDBA.
Everything but arm initiative.
For EU and CIS, the Eastern and Western European country, put it simply.
Also?
Yes.
Eastern?
We have 0% tax as compared to our competitors, Thai rice or Vietnamese rice. However, we have to bear in mind that our rice on an FOB basis is actually a lot higher than our direct competitor, Vietnamese rice. So we may have that leeway only for a certain short period of time. We should not take for granted that this EBA is going to be there on a permanent basis. However, while we benefit this sort of leeway, in the meantime, we need to move fast to adjust and improve our costing, our productivity of the rice mills.
Productivity, to become more competitive.
Correct. Yes. Because we also need to look forward to the other market like the Philippines, for instance, which the government has expressed.
Which is much for lower end of the rice.
EU and CIS is more like, it's also low end, but actually the margin is fairly good. For the exporter perspective.
Because of the fact that they don't pay. The importer don't pay that tariff. Of about what?
175 euro per ton. That's sort of advantage that we are playing with. However, if we want to have a more consistent supply or contract base with Philippines, Indonesia, and other bigger players, we need to press our price down. We need to be very competitive and ensure a consistent supply throughout the contract that we're going to enter with all these bigger buyers.
I look at the trade statistic this year. Just the first 4 months of this year, 2011, we export more than the whole 12 months of last year. So it means that somehow the rice export policy has its effect. People are mobilized, private sector are mobilized, trade is taking place, import export is doing well. But so assuming at 100,000, at 10,000 a month, you multiply by 12, you're still at 120,000 tons. It's still a long way to 1 million ton. To me, the challenge is how do you, in the next 4 years, what sort of thing we as a country, meaning the government, have to do in terms of policy facilitation, in terms of investment, what can the government do also? But foremost, what can the private sector do? Where do you see the role of the private sector in the whole rice supply chain there?
Like I said, it's not an issue of market access
Yeah.
for our Cambodian rice
Yes.
to export. It's more an issue of the logistic flow
Yes.
and the port facilities.
Yes.
If Cambodia intends to be one of the key players
Yeah.
in the global arena of rice trading,
Okay.
given our present port facilities that
Yes.
can only handle container load,
Yes.
there is no way we're going to achieve that. Absolutely no way.
Yeah.
Commodities have to be shipped in break bulk
Yes.
on a big tonnage vessel like 12, 25,000 ton, that sort of capacity.
Which currently our port do not.
Unfortunately, neither Sihanouk Villa nor Phnom Penh port offer that sort of break bulk facilities.
yes.
And in fact, certain key buyers from Europe came down and inspected the port facility because they were about to charter their own vessel, but they were just confronted with the reality on the ground.
Yeah.
And they just came, they saw, and they said, well, we may still have some way to go.
Okay.
So therefore,
Okay.
the outflow where we can channel our commodities, whether rice or any other agricultural product, needs to be seriously addressed.
So you would say that logistic is one of the key constraints.
Yes.
I agree with you that, you know, because rice is a commodity, it means big volume, low value, as compared to jean or clothing,
Correct.
where you have a low volume but high value.
Correct.
You know, you can put, God knows, maybe 100,000 shirt, you know, or suit in a container versus only 20 tons
Well,
or maximum 24 tons.
You know, a 20-foot container of garment
Yes.
may be worth more than 10,000 tons of rice.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
just comparatively
Yeah.
based.
So that's why the freight forwarder, the costing for the transport is not commensurate.
Correct.
Because if the freight forwarder or you know the transporters feel, okay, I'll charge you the same thing, but the garment manufacturer here, they can say, yeah, no problem, I can pay because my margin is so high,
Right.
but not for the rice miller, the rice exporter.
No, because commodities, as we all know, are low-cost products.
Yes.
But in order to achieve the economy of scale, you must move
Yes.
big volume.
So the solution is to look forward for next couple of years how to improve our logistic supply chain, right?
Correct.
Improve the competitiveness, increase the scale, maybe dredge the port facility, and hopefully we could have a break bulk agriculture port, right? Somehow.
In any country, the cost of moving goods, you have three different ways. You know?
Yeah.
The waterways is the cheapest.
The cheapest, yes,
To
clear.
the
It's
river
clear.
and all that.
I don't think we maximize enough to
Not
the
at the
Mekong
moment.
River. huh?
Not at the moment. But
I think,
of course, with the Phnom Penh port engaged into more upgrading, so
Yes,
hopefully
yes.
we will come to that.
Yes.
Second come the railway
Yes.
as the second most cheapest.
Yes,
So
yes.
again, we hear encouraging news that the government is now laying the path for more railway
Yes,
connection
yes.
between
Yeah.
Battambang, the main
Yes,
rice
the
production,
rice production, yeah,
area,
you're right,
and
you're right.
all the way to Sihanouk Villa
Yes,
port.
yeah.
That is in the making.
And even in Cambodia, it
Right.
will bring down to
But however, it still come back
To the port.
the port facility.
yeah.
Even
So the
if you
bottleneck
have
is the port
yes,
then.
Even if you have a good infrastructure,
Yeah.
but as your port is
Yeah.
all congested, then there is
Yeah,
a bottleneck.
I just don't see how we can be competitive exporting rice by container. I just don't see how.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
If we want to achieve
Yes.
that kind of ambitious target.
On logistic, I'm on board with you. I agree with you, but a little bit more upstream. You know, in terms of production, how do you see? We talk a lot about contract farming, concession, the sort of thing. How do you see the production side? Because you know we are actually producing a lot of paddy now.
Right.
But the problem is paddy are flowing to neighbor. You know, my feeling is that if we can, you know, have more milling facility, we have more cash to buy the paddy before the
Correct.
harvest, most of the paddy will stay in country. That's where the value addition is.
Correct, correct.
What's your view on that?
Again, if you look at upstream on the production side, this is where international buyers are also showing concern because of the quality consistency.
Yes.
From the government perspective, I think the industry, mines and energy, they are very well aware of the corporate governance issue.
Yes.
And especially the standard,
yes.
the hygiene standard
yes.
Of our rice mills.
Okay.
This is something that I think the government is putting effort to address.
Yes.
However, if I look from the rice miller perspective,
yeah.
They also facing issue of access to finance. Access to finance basically is not that the bank do not want to lend money, but for the bank, in order for them to lend money, they need to have some very basic tool from the applicant, from the loan applicant. If you as a loan applicant, you do not have simple bookkeeping that allow the bank to glance through your profit and loss and see how is your the state of your operation, whether you are healthy, whether you break even or so. So how can the bank actually can make a judgment in order to give you a loan? So the very basic step should start from helping the rice miller to have a proper book accounting, bookkeeping thing.
For me, I see that the big challenge is that we have the rice milling facility. I think we have a good 10 or 15 now that the quality is quite good now. We're not wasting a lot of this broken rice. But the challenge that having that facility but without access to cash to buy the paddy mean nothing. And that's why I'm very happy that the Ministry of Finance is currently, pushing to establish a sort of credit guarantee scheme where the government would put that. I think right now they're talking about $25 million, right? And then they hope to have 4 or 5 banks here, to match that. So then this way, the government will encourage the bank to take more risk, to say, look, go ahead guys, to lend to the rice industry, because if you exceed your threshold of your normal traditional portfolio loss, the government will kick in. So we hope that this scheme will be ready by this year, on time for the next harvest. This could change, this could be, if I can say, a game changer. It could change the whole paradigm on how the rice industry will work. It means that now we have the production, we have the milling facility, and we have the cash to buy the paddy before the neighbor come. But here, David, I want to throw a challenge to you guys, the private sector. Because you see, our farmer are subsistence farmer. For them, they need to live day to day, year to year. Nationalism is one thing. But if their pocket, if their stomach is empty, they don't care whether that cash is coming from the neighboring Thailand or Vietnam or from a Cambodian right? They don't care. So to me, my challenge to you as a private sector, how can the Cambodian rice miller, exporter pass on a fairer share of the profit to the farmer? And this is why I'm talking about equitable trade, right? Because if the farmer feel that they got better treatment from the neighboring buyer, why should they care about you?
Precisely.
So it's a paradigm. And what do you take on that?
Well, I'm glad you raised that issue because you hit the nail right at the head. Now, our problem today with our rice miller in terms of purchasing paddy from the farmers is because the actual, according to certain survey that were done, the actual cost of paddy should be only about $100 per ton. Not the current 250 something per ton. Why? Because we as a rice miller or Cambodian middleman going out to purchase the paddy, we do not give, like you said, a fair share back to our farmers. We are simply, just like what our neighboring countries are doing, we are simply pressing, squeezing our own farmers. So if we as a Cambodian brothers, shall I say, we do not help our own farmers and at least give a differential rate.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
What's the difference?
What's the difference precisely?
They've been doing business with the Thai trader, the Vietnamese trader for the last 5 years.
And why should the Thai traders and the Vietnamese traders are paying so well in terms of cash? Why would they want to make an effort to sell to you if there's no difference, basically?
So to me, this is quite a paradigm shift.
Correct,
It's a mindset shift. It's a business model shift from being just purely a trader, as rice miller, to be more a national actor. How can you contribute?
I would say the Cambodian key players,
Yeah.
whether private sector or public sector, need to also, of course, from private sector perspective, everybody wants to make money.
Sure. I mean, I have no
however,
problem with
you
that. I
can
have no
make
problem with
your profit, but still you need to have a sense of social
Yes.
responsibility.
Exactly. Corporate
Towards
social
your
responsibility. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
own farmers, towards the overall, to
Yes.
serve the overall government
Yes.
policy in
Yes.
moving the rice sector
Yes.
forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you say that, because what I've been pushing the last so many months is push a lot in the beginning more on government agency to help streamline the export procedure, remove the bottleneck, reduce the day, reduce the cost,
Right.
so that this way the government can contribute on their end how to make our export more competitive.
Right.
But at the same time, it need, like you say, it need two hands to clap.
Correct.
The government cannot do all in its own. Of course, the government have to make a lot of effort, but the private sector on their own also. They cannot say, now the government making effort to reduce the cost, I still maintain my profit, and then it doesn't work. So both sides, the private sector have to do their share, the government have to do their share, and I think together we can achieve. Because to me, just a pure math, right? We are producing, right now almost 8 million ton of paddy, right? Okay?
Right.
We consume 4 million. So we're down to almost 4 million
Correct.
of paddy left. So I would say a lot of border trade, right?
Right.
Which are not accounted for. If Cambodia now have the rice milling facility, good milling, good silo, good dryer, good grain sorter, good packaging, with the right cash, with the right credit guarantee scheme, we could buy all this paddy already. I can see the million metric ton of rice already secure.
Right.
So you see, we don't have to increase one more kilo of paddy. The production is there. But the trick is what I call trade diversion. How do you move the trade, the current trade which is being diverted to the neighboring as paddy, as cross-border paddy, into trade diversion into the Cambodian rice miller in Battambang, in Minti Minjay, in Odong, in Preveng.
I think it boils down to enhancing the national capacity or capability to absorb all this paddy and have the value added in country rather than being diverted to our neighboring countries. I think the rice miller perspective, although they may face certain access to finance in terms of equity shares and so on, they can still very much tied up with foreign partners that come in with equity, that come with technology, management practices in order to expand their own milling capacity.
You know, David, we're coming to the end of the program, and I want to end by saying this, that, you know, the Prime Minister consider the rice policy as very crucial for the growth of this country. And in fact, I understand that the FASTMEC is organizing the first time an international rice conference, rice forum, and, you know, it'll be at the national level, international level, the Prime Minister will go there. And it's a big signal that the government is keen, the Prime Minister is keen to see the sector going. What do you expect, your last word, to get from this international rice conference at the end of the year?
What we want is that we had some consulted some international buyers, and what these people want, because they are our key conduit to export our rice. So we need to address their concern. And these buyers want to come and learn and hear from the horse mouth, so to speak, what are the measures that are being taken by the royal government of Cambodia to address all these various issues and topics of bottlenecks and trade facilitation and logistic costs and productivity issues. What is the government doing in order to address that? And what is the private sector also doing in terms of their part in order to address all these issues. So this is exactly what the international buyers want to come and hear from us.
Wow. Anyway, thank you, David. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of the program, but this is quite an exciting theme, and I hope to have more speakers coming to address different aspects of the whole rice sector, because when Cambodia achieved these 1 million tons of rice export, the prosperity of this country is there. The farmer will be better off. The stability of the country will be there. But it does require, as David said, a lot of effort from everybody along the supply chain, from the farmer, from the production, from the miller, from the exporter, from the government agency who issue the export license, from the custom officer. So it is a concerted effort, you know, of this whole country, public and private, and also NGO, if I can say, because they play quite a big role in terms of capacity building. So unfortunately, I have to go. We have to go, and we hope to see you again in other weeks, where I will try to bring more people to speak on the rice sector. Once again, good night, and thank you for watching our program. David, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.